Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Ms. Salcha? Here. Mr. Lindemann?
Here.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Here.
Mr. Burry?
Here. Item D, approval of minutes of August the 4th, 1 through 5 as listed. Entertain a motion to approve.
Mr. President, I move to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Ms. Salchow. Any discussion regarding the minutes? Roll call.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Burry?
Yes. Item E, summary of current events. Superintendent, Mrs. Samaniego.
Well, we have officially began summer school today. Things went well, and Mrs. Heraldina will share a little bit about the morning for summer school. Graduation was on Friday. While it was a little hot, it went well. All 320, I believe, students graduated. I think maybe a couple students didn't show up to their graduation ceremony, so it went well. Thank you, Mrs. Selcha, for attending, and I think she made it through two sessions, but the afternoons got a little hot. And obviously that was Mr. Walker's last graduation as he is retiring, so we want to wish him well. But that is all I have.
Okay. There'll be more on the summer school.
Yes,
There'll be a
exactly.
presentation made. Governing board members, any thing to report, concerns, comments regarding anything?
Not me.
Reports, business office, Mr. Soto.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, board members. I just want to make a clarification. I think the report you had in front of you says April, but it should be for the month of May.
It's a typo.
Uh-huh.
Typo?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it says April on it, but it should be the month of May. Again, we're very close to the end of the fiscal year, and we still have some money left on the budget, of course, as expected, because of not filling all of those vacancies that we had at the beginning of the year and so forth and so on. Any questions that you might have about that?
Members of the board, any questions?
Yeah.
Dr. Gomez.
On your balance on them, on the M&O,
Correct.
how much of that is encumbered?
That's what it's not encumbered yet. Typically, if you remember a few years ago, Dr. Gomez, the state will only allow us to carry over 4%. Now there's no limit on the carryover that you can take for the next school year. As it is right now, we have 6.4% not encumbered. So that's
Not encumbered.
potentially that we can carry over for next year. Correct.
Okay, members of the board, any other questions or comments regarding the budget?
That was my question. The
Okay.
carryover.
All right. Okay, thank you, Mr. Soto.
Thank
We
you.
may call you back later on another item.
Of course.
We have the human resources and Mrs. Cox.
Yeah, and I will give that report. As far as our enrollment stands as of the end of May, we have 3,804 students officially enrolled, and obviously that's with 95 students at the Early Learning Center. Compared to May of 2020, that was 4,076. So we still are short, roughly about 200 and some students or so. New Student Center keeps enrolling, and I am very happy to report that they were able to get all of the students that attended this school year to fulfill their attendance requirements and residency requirements. This year, based on the pandemic and not being open to most of the year to kids in school, it was hard trying to get parents to come and do their annual residency documentation for this school year. They completed every single one, and so I'm very thankful for New Student Center. So that's our enrollment. As far as HR is concerned, Mrs. Cox wanted me to definitely congratulate and thank those employees that you will be approving for retirement in the next couple items. We have Aurora Isela Garcia, who's been a custodian for 28 years in the district. I'm not sure if she started out as a custodian, but she's been here 28 years. Also, Robert Monge, 9 years, and Mr. Ibarra, 44 years in the district. So we definitely want to thank those individuals, and we will be presenting them for approval.
Okay, good.
Okay.
All right.
Aside from that, one more item. I had Mrs. Cox survey our staff as far as our COVID vaccinations are concerned. I wanted that information for today's meetings, just for information purposes only. It'll be a good indicator for our July meeting when we look at, what protocols and safety and mask mandates and all of that. So this will give you a good indicator as far as how our staff is doing with vaccines. We had 332 responses. Out of that, 60% of that was certified staff and 80% was classified staff. Based on all of the responses, we have 90% of our staff has already been vaccinated with the 2 vaccines, and 10% still is no. Out of that 10%, we have only 17.5 or 19% is saying that they're going to get it over the next couple months. Only 1% is saying that they're not going to get it. And so 10% is still unsure, but most of our staff is vaccinated. Some of them are, like I said, certified and classified staff. So that just gives us a ballpark figure of our teachers and our support staff at the school sites for the upcoming year. Vaccines are now available for 12-year-old and over, and we are trying to promote that for our students. Obviously, I've had a lot of questions about whether we're going to mandate the vaccine for students 12 and over, and we can't, just like we can't expect teachers and staff to do it. But we're hoping that those parents that want to get their children vaccinated, that they do it over the summer. Okay? So that's it for Mrs. Cox.
Does anybody have any comment? It's a report, but do you have any comments?
I had a
Mr.
question, if I may.
Go ahead.
Superintendent Samaniego, is it possible to get a tally or a number on the students that have gotten there?
Yes, and we're going to be working that over the summer so that hopefully we can have an idea as far as for our July meeting. So.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Lindemann. All right, G, public comments. I understand we have
Yes.
a couple. Ms. Samaniego, you have them?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Brain, Mrs. Samaniego, and board members. I am Jesus Chuy Duarte, 2328 14th Street, speaking as a parent of a current DHS graduate and a 7th grader for the 21-22 school year. This is to ask the board to bring up the mask mandate that has been imposed on anyone that steps on DUSD property. I am asking the board to address the issue by having it removed and making sure that it will not be in place for the upcoming school year. I sent a letter to all governing board members on Tuesday, May 18th, to ask that they call for a special meeting to lift the mask mandate for the last 2 weeks of school, summer school and the 21-22 school year. I only heard back from 2 of you, Mr. Ray Brain and Mrs. Salchow. As for Dr. Ed Gomez, Mr. Mario Ramos, Mr. Lindemann, I have yet to hear from you 3. Really not a good way to treat your stakeholders on pertinent issues. Last year, it was all panic mode meeting almost every 2 weeks to address the latest development and impose stricter guidelines. Yes, there were small hot pockets, but looking in hindsight, we could have and should have done better for our students. We already start a few steps behind other school districts that we must do more to keep up and enrich our students' learning. Athletics and DUSD did a great job of recognizing the athletes, but the same can be said for academics. National Honor Society had to have the induction ceremony virtually. Diamond Scholar recognition was started specifically to highlight academic achievement, was abandoned, so was the end of the year award ceremony. Yet athletics found a way to recognize athletes in-person programs. Kudos to Mr. Ortega for the commitment and follow-through. There is so much evidence out there that shows that we are ready to move on and give our students what they deserve in school. Mask-free, in-person education with their peers. The district has done a survey of how many staff have been vaccinated and should use that to move forward for the summer session and upcoming school year accordingly. Ultimately, we as parents have the right to decide if our children will be wearing the mask to school under state statute ARS 1-601. Parents' rights protected. Ironically, since I sent the email, this link has been removed from the main DUSD page and hidden in the forms part under parent information. For an institution of education to try to keep information from parents is just unbelievable. He who controls information controls the masses. In closing, I am asking the board to schedule a special meeting to address this issue. We need to get all of our students back into the classroom with their peers. We need them to be able to identify the faces of their friends, teachers, principals outside of the classroom. We need to see their smiles, facial expressions. We need our littlest ones to see their teacher enunciating to pronounce them for reading. Ultimately, we may never know how much damage was done physically, socially, emotionally, academically this past year, but I hope we move forward quickly to stop it from happening again. Respectfully, Jesus Suarte, Advocate. The second one is, good evening. This is from Christine Gomez. I am very concerned about a 2-week summer school program. I remember asking Mrs. Samaniego at a Zoom meeting in January that what the district plans were to help the students who weren't performing. I was assured that plans were being already made and that school might not even break in order to help some of these students. As far as summer school is being planned, my perception was one of a well-planned and communicated session, but one of chaos. First, not enough teachers, then not enough students, followed by only students who receive a letter may attend now, and now we open it up to everybody. It can be explained that one knows who is going to need the class or who wants to teach. But I believe the parents should have been receiving email blasts as early as February. Now the kicker, we will have the session for whooping 2 weeks, the equivalent of 32 hours. Yes, I know this was a grant. Yes, I know that only certain monies can be used for certain things. Why was a grant written the way for a 2-week session? The summer session was planned prior to the year during a pandemic, knowing we were going to have a majority of students with extra needs. I polled other districts. Sierra Vista, Bisbee, TUSD are 4-week sessions, Tombstone is 3, and Douglas and Benson are 2-week. As of today, maybe there will be more weeks added. The only way to implement a well-received program is to plan for it. We can use the COVID excuse as long as we want, but the students are the ones who are suffering. My child has done well in classes and on the benchmarks. I consider an A and a B to be equivalent to a C or a D. I am not confident in her success this year. Why was funding from CARES 1 used for summer? Was any funding from CARES 1 used for summer school? Why is the presentation for summer school taking place after the session has already been implemented? Can we expect more organization for next year, as this problem is going to follow us for years to come? Best, Christine Gomez. I would like a date set to open meetings to the public. I don't like my concerns being read by someone else to the board. We deserve to have our concerns heard in person in an open meeting. I am well aware of COVID, so please don't patronize me with excuses. And that's it. Those are 2.
Is that it?
Uh-huh.
Just to follow up a little bit on that, first of all, the board members are well aware we can't discuss comments unless we feel it urgent to do so and the timing warrants it actually responding. Fortunately, today, both those items that those 2 individuals spoke about will be addressed specifically. You will address, I think Mrs. Trevino is going to do a PowerPoint on summer school. As a matter of fact, you said at the last meeting that we would follow up when we had better information today. And then secondly, Mr. Duarte's concerns will also be addressed accordingly as you get more information as we go along. The other thing I want to ask is, the board members all have a district email address, correct? And it's on the website, right? It is for they can pick it up personally, right, on their personal computers at home,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Board members, you all have that. All right, I want to make sure of that because there are a lot of extenuating circumstances many times, especially this time of year, when board members are traveling out of town, and I don't think we have the facility or to be able to retrieve those emails remotely unless you have it on your laptop or whatever, right? But it is available to board members, right? regardless. So that's one thing. So then, when we get to the part about the concern by Mr. Duarte, all of the information that you've gotten recently, and you will have between now and the time the board makes the decision, whether or not there's going to be masks or whatever, based on all the information you have, the vaccinations and all that. So that will be addressed at a later time. Okay, I just wanted to make sure we got that clear. But there is an email, and people should avail themselves to it. It's on, if they want to contact board members, it's wide open. It's on the website. Okay. Consent agenda, item 2A, approval of the following consent agenda items, payroll and expense vouchers. Number one, I'll approve a motion to approve 1, 2, and 3.
I move to approve consent agenda items 1, 2, and 3.
Thank you by Mr. Lindeman. Is there a second?
Second.
By Dr. Gomez. Any discussion regarding the expense vouchers, student activities, or the payroll vouchers? Roll call.
Ms. Elcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindeman?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
Yes. Item 3, A, discussion information on Douglas Unified School District Summer School, Ms. Samaniego. I'll turn it
Yes.
over to you.
As previously discussed in the May meeting, I said that Mrs. Geraldina Trevino was going to provide some detailed information regarding summer school during this meeting. And she obviously has some information to share about the whole intent of the summer school program, from the days and the times, the staff, the focus of the kids. And so it is our goal to provide an engaging, hands-on summer school program, which will give kids an opportunity to get back into some in-school, in-person instruction for some weeks during the summer days. So, Mrs. Trevino?
That was Ms. Trevino and her staff.
Yes, and her staff, Mrs. Nicole Mariscal and Ms. Jessica Castillo were part of her, amongst 3 of her staff that were very involved in the planning stages.
Very good.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Samaniego, and members of the community. I'm here to share some of the information pertaining to our summer school program. There is a PowerPoint available, and you probably have a copy of it. But to get started, we wanted to make sure that we had a summer school goal in which we wanted to create an engaging and dynamic hands-on program to provide opportunities for academics and wellness and prevent learning loss. Due to the pandemic and remote learning, we wanted to offer face-to-face instruction, limit screen time, and provide multiple opportunities for student interaction and engagement, like an extension of the school year. Okay. Here's a quick glance of what the summer school programs are for Douglas Unified School District. As you can plainly see, we have pre-kinder through 8th grade, and then we have Douglas High School, and then we have our 21st century program. The pre-K through 8th grade and Douglas High School are funded by Title I, and 21st century, obviously, with our 21st CCLC grant. The instructional time is from 8 to 12, but teachers and instructional assistants have a work hours from 7:30 to 12:30 p.m. Many weeks of planning and preparation took place, along with research within our department, and this includes all of the instructional coaches. We wanted to plan rotations to allow and almost mirror, in a sense, what the 21st program offers. It's an academic and an enrichment program. So we wanted to take all of these things into consideration, also addressing the need with specific essential standards, along with diversity and creativity incorporated within the school day. The rotation structure allows for students to move and interact frequently and with multiple teachers throughout the day. We really wanted to emphasize quality over quantity. We wanted a very well-rounded program, again, mirroring what the 21st century summer school program looks like in a way. Part of the preparation initially was to also have instructional coaches meet with grade levels to discuss what they felt as their essential standards should be during this summer program. And it was all based on student need and teacher recommendation. We did several outreach opportunities to all of our students. We had to start with identifying, we had to rank students from the bottom 25th percentile. And then we started opening it up to all students. Let's see. We also had an orientation prepared for all of our applicants to really review thoroughly everything that had to be incorporated, from the pre to the post to the lesson plans, the week at a glance, the amount of time, and we provided lots of resources to also build our STEAM and ELA math and our RTI and wellness block. With the pool of applicants, we were able to hire 4 teachers per grade level in grades kinder through 8th grade, instructional assistants, health aides, and data clerks. Choosing 4 teachers really helped in the sense that that teacher only focuses on one content area for that block of time. And it provides more strategic planning and delivery, and again, the quality of the essential time within that block. We also have preschool. We have 3 different programs running for the preschool students. We're also addressing ESS on top of our 21st century and our Douglas High School credit recovery opportunity as well. I already mentioned the pre-kinder and ESS. If we get to the slide with the rotations, it kind of gives you an idea of what a day would look like. And so they start either with ELA, then they move down to STEAM, then they move on to RTI/wellness, and then math. So we're addressing these 4 areas every day throughout the entire day. For Douglas High School, based on student interest and students that actually enrolled, we were able to offer the following. So there are 9 teachers servicing in the following content areas. We have English 1, 2, 3, biologies with labs, algebra 1 and 2, and geometry. On top of the DPAS program, that will also allow at least 10 more students to recover or gain their credit.
Explain what the DPAS program is, please.
Okay, DPAS is the program that is going to be run by Mrs. Teresa Gallardo, and it's online, and it runs throughout the entire year. It's more of an intense online program, but they also have opportunity to meet with their content area teachers, depending, like if we have, let's say, a student taking English, an English language teacher will actually intervene to support, whether through tutoring services, and will also do the grading. The same applies to math and the other content areas that are offered throughout.
We hear that word every so often, and a lot of times you need to always bring us up to date on what it means, especially, lay people and for the audience as well. Go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Lastly, we have the screen for 21st century. Now, 21st century is a little different than our Title I. They're on a 4-day, 4-week, and because of the situation, the grant was allocated additional summer enhancement funding. But it had to be spent very strategically. There were certain parameters as to how that money could be spent. And so one of the things that was stipulated was either like a summer school curriculum, which we did move forward and proceeded with that. And that's basically it. We also wanted to include, and we had to, is transportation and food services. So today we had our first day of summer school, considering there was a lot of excitement to begin with the students and trying to welcome them to their sites. They did several runs, some on bus, some on vans, and food service was available to offer both breakfast and lunch. And I think that's it. I hope, if you have any questions.
Members of the board, do you have any questions?
A few.
Go ahead, Janet.
Okay. First, I'd like to know, and I see that Stevenson and Douglas High School, of course, will be utilized for those summer sessions, DPAS and Century 21, but where will the elementary and the middle schools be meeting?
Okay, so kinder through second grade is currently housed at Sarah Marley.
Okay.
And that includes all of the district students. So all district students are invited to attend, and we're doing the K-2 program at Sarah Marley, and Clausen has the 3rd through 5th grade.
Okay, and will this be administrated by those on-site principals, or will we be hiring additional? Okay.
On-site principals and with the expectation of the other principals throughout the district to assist and support the program, yes.
Okay, all right. And in contacting the initial students at the beginning in March, or I think it was March, when the first shout out went out, after the needs were assessed, approximately how many applied, or replied to it? You can even say few, some, a lot.
So for both parties, there were very few responses.
Okay.
When we pushed out the second flyer with that, we wanted to spark more interest and more excitement, and we started moving quite fast, I believe, and that's when we started to see the enrollment increase.
Okay. And looking at DPAS with the 9 teachers, and we don't have a lot of students who are requiring, are we missing some students? Has the response not been as great?
So there's a difference between DPAS and then the courses offered face-to-face. Okay, so we have
Okay, so
9 teachers offering face-to-face instruction for students on top of the DPAS.
Okay.
So I do have numbers for Douglas High School right now. Students that actually enrolled, it's an approximate 132 students.
Oh, okay.
For face-to-face.
That's what I want for
Yes,
face-to-face.
Yes. Mhm.
I
Yes.
kind of wanted to know that. And approximately how many students are we going to be servicing in K-8?
Okay, I have the breakdown. So in grades kinder through second, we have 121 students. In grades 3rd through 5th grade, 165. And grades 6th, 7th, and 8th, 193.
Those are good numbers.
And then if you are interested, 21st century, 79 students
Okay.
total.
Thank you, Hedda.
You're welcome.
Dr. Gomez, go
Okay.
ahead.
And I think you answered it to Jana. The 21st century, which is situated at Stevenson, but does that include the whole district?
No, that is specifically site-based. That is specifically
For Stevenson?
For Stevenson, yes.
Okay. And then the other thing, if I'm correct, DPAS is really something like for somebody that can't go to school, God forbid, but let's say like a pregnancy or something like that, then they can go to DPAS, right? Or it used to be?
It's not specifically just for those students. It's also an opportunity for students to try to get back on track.
Okay,
so-
all right, yeah, right, okay. And then the Century 21, of course, is paid by Century 21 money, and then you said Title I, but who is paying the high school one?
Okay, so based on that would be Title I.
Title I also?
Yes.
Okay. It's fine, thank you so much.
Thanks,
You're
Dr.
welcome.
Gomez. Mr. Lindeman, you have any comments?
I just had one question. Is there a mechanism to allow students to join later after it starts if they need to? Or
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
They've been taking students. As a matter of fact, we had a couple of parents show up, and we went ahead and enrolled those students, yes.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. It sounds really organized, and I
Yes.
appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments, board? Also want to thank you. Go ahead, Dr.
Yes, and and that's a sad part, because I think that there was a lot of misinformation, out there. As on the parents' part, like that they couldn't get their child enrolled, or that they were too late, or that for the other, and I think there was just a lot of misinformation. So thank you, Geraldine.
You're welcome.
Okay, also, we want to thank you, then, Ms.
Yes,
Samaniego, she's up there,
yes.
if you want to follow up on anything?
Yes, and
Go
so
ahead.
obviously, summer school is not something that, was planned in a matter of weeks. And the fact that we had very few students, we could probably count them with maybe our two hands at every school site, and that was not going to be sufficient to start the summer school program. And so obviously, initially, and this happens, I think, in a lot of districts, the initial response from parents is not there. You give it more time. And so when summer school was open to the rest of the population, we asked parents to respond by a certain time, but that did not mean that we didn't continue taking kids, because we continue taking kids and adding onto our list. And that was one thing that I told Mrs. Trevino and the 21st Century Program, that if we had 20 kids in a class, we were going to take them. We are not any more constrained, but we don't have any restrictions with the social distancing anymore. We're open. And so I'm glad. High school numbers, we were not even possibly going to have a high school summer program, because the high school numbers were like one algebra student, one history student, and I said, how can I justify paying a teacher, for that one child? Now, I didn't want to close the doors on the high school kids that were interested either, so I was very, very excited when she finally said we have about 124 students that have committed and will be attending high school. So it was definitely challenging just to get the motivation on behalf of students and the parents to respond. So, and if they get kids tomorrow or throughout the next few days, we're going to accept them.
Notwithstanding the COVID, the times are unusual, but I think it's important that it's stated today that traditionally summer school. How does the administration, how do school districts view actually what summer school is and what it's supposed to accomplish?
Okay, so summer school is basically an extension of the learning during the academic year. And we all know that we do target the bottom 25%, because those are the kids that are at risk. And those are probably the same kids that have RTI during the year, that have interventions, that go to tutoring. And so the summer school program at any district is really to take advantage of extending the school year for them and extending that learning opportunity. It is challenging, and as it is when a child is, let's say, a couple grades behind grade level. And if they attend summer school oftentimes and move on with reading, that is a stipulation that, you must attend summer school to be able to be passed on to third grade based on the move on with reading law. So it is an opportunity to extend the learning, and for some, it is not going to define whether that child is going to be at grade level for the 2 years that he's behind by attending summer school, but it is an opportunity to extend their learning in a less, I want to say, restricted environment, and less students with more one-to-one attention. And ideally, any teacher that has taught summer school would be amazing if you would have 5, 6 students, because your focus in your teaching would be very independent and very structured and differentiated with the instruction. So we wanted to just, right now our goal was to provide an extension to the learning and actually allow us to bring kids back for in-person instruction with hands-on, with their peers, with some fun activities, some enrichment, and offer them an opportunity to be back in the classroom.
Okay, so hitchhiking on that, and I noticed on your presentation that the curriculum you had at the high school, the curriculum reflects exactly what she just stated those needs are and what the goal of summer
Intent.
school is, correct?
Yes.
There wasn't any advanced classes in there. It was very, very basic. You had algebra, English, those kinds of things that she alluded to, correct? All right. I just want to make sure that we understand that, especially now with the situation that people are trying to make up. And then at the elementary level, it's basically the same thing with especially the ELA kids, right?
Yes.
Okay.
ELA and math, and it's very intended as far as the legwork that was done behind the scenes by Mrs. Trevino's department was taking and looking at what standards needed to be the focus for summer school, because in a short program, you can't really focus on everything, but you've got to really streamline it and make it purposeful and intended with, the standards that the students need in order to have that extended learning opportunity.
Okay, very good. Members of the board?
Yes,
Dr. Gomez.
Mr. President, and you would know because this is really a historical question. When I was in school, people could go in the summer and pick up credits. When did that stop?
Well, I could go on and on, but I'm going to let Ms. Samaniego, if she knows.
Well, actually, we had that discussion because I was one of those students that paid $100 to advance in your credits at the high school level.
Yes.
And we had that discussion. I really don't know when that stopped and why it stopped. Getting students, now high school students, to want to take summer class, and I think maybe it changed with free and reduced lunch and maybe all those stipulations coming from the government or State Board of Education.
What actually happened, the way it evolved, is that summer school used to also be a mechanism for students to graduate early.
Right.
And so that's why I mentioned that the curriculum is focused basically on the needs of the students presently. So over the years, what's happened everywhere is that summer schools now, because of all of the requirements, are focused specifically on all of the people, I won't mention them again, that they're concentrating on and that Ms. Trevino concentrated on. But it used to be a mechanism for advanced students to take a lot of classes and graduate early and maybe come back to the campus maybe for one period a day or whatever, because they had already, so they provided and put a limitation on it that couldn't happen specifically because of that. So now it's gone back to the traditional way of the presentation here.
And I think also now, what Mr. Bahrain says, I think part of it now, it has to do with funding. And so a student has to be a full academically year-funded student. Even in my day, I had the opportunity my senior year to just attend half a day. So I was done at 12. But now we got to account for students. And in order to get full ADM, those students need to be enrolled full-time. So that started to go away, I think, when all of this funding also started.
Yeah, okay.
So thank you, Ms. Trevino. And now I want to concentrate on Dr. Gomez historically.
Thank you.
Mr. Ramos at the last meeting had to make it public that I taught him in school.
If you want to feel any better,
No,
I'm about to make you feel better. I was the very
And then I hired you as
I was
well.
the very first middle school English summer school teacher, and that was a long time
very
ago.
good. Thank you.
Predated children even. Yeah.
I think all of us, not you, but Dr. Gomez, were there before the flood. So.
Mr. Bahrain,
Yes.
before we go on to item B, I do have a recognition to make, and I totally skipped Mrs. Moen, and I don't want to have her wait. You can stay for the whole meeting if you'd like.
Go ahead.
I have two recognitions. This year, I always try to nominate our administrators from assistant principals and directors, so I've done quite a few nominations over the last 3 years. This year I nominated 3 individuals. And out of the 3 individuals, Mrs. Corey Moen got selected by ASA as the Elementary Rookie Principal of the Year. I don't have anything to do with those selections. I just submit letters of nomination and information about my principals. I nominated, like I said, 3 of them to this year. And she got selected as ASA's Elementary Rookie Principal of the Year for the state of Arizona. And
Wow,
so
that's great.
I think this is a great accomplishment, and we want to recognize her. She and I will be attending a luncheon on August the 14th at ASA's summer conference, and we're just attending the conference and coming back. So congratulations, Corey. Well deserved. You know, she's done a phenomenal job as a rookie principal and really working with the elementary team and doing what's best for kids and the staff at Clawson. So
Good going.
congratulations.
You know, that is quite a recognition. And by the way,
It is.
ASA's Arizona School Administrator, so
Yes.
that's from her peers.
Yes.
And
Oh,
so,
okay.
yeah. so-
Arizona School.
Yeah, Arizona
Administrators.
School Administrators, and so I was very happy because the last 3 years I've nominated my staff and we don't get selected, so this year we got selected, so that's awesome.
Very good.
The other award we have, and Mr. Ortega is not here, he was nominated by, I think, his coaching peers or student athletes, and he is the AIA Rookie Athletic Director of the Year for Arizona. And so for the 2021 school year, he is actually attending a tournament or game of the high school athletes right now, so he couldn't be here. So we have a plaque for him. I took a picture of them, posted them on our websites and Facebook, so we want to recognize Mr. Ortega
good.
too. So
Okay.
those 2 are rookie principals. So.
But Mr. Ortega, a rookie in his job, is that in his first year in his job, or?
Well, this is his 2nd year, so like for Ms. Moen's category, the restriction or stipulation was 1 to 3 year administrator. If you're a 4th year, you're not considered a rookie anymore. I don't know what the AIA, but this is his 2nd. So whoever nominated him, and then he was selected for
That's
the
very
state
good.
of
We're also-
Arizona.
Also very proud of him.
Yes.
And we do very well with athletic directors. Katie Walker, I think, is the
Yes,
first
Katie
year got
Walker,
athletic director of the year as well. So very good.
So-
Our athletic program's under good watch there. All right, are we ready to move on then?
Yes, we're ready to move on. Sorry
Okay.
about that. Thank you, Corey.
Let's go to, congratulations again.
Hi, Corey.
Discussion action on the approval of certified hires, Ms. Samaniego.
As presented, these are, that you have 1 teacher for the 21-22 school year, and the rest are teachers for our summer school program. And I do have 1 correction. The funding source is only Title I and 21st century, not Title III. So that was a mistake. So as presented.
Okay, entertain a motion to approve.
Yeah, I move to approve the certified hires.
I second.
Second by Ms. Salchow. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Selcha,
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann,
Yes.
Dr. Gomez,
Yes.
Mr. Ramos,
Yes.
Mr. Berry.
Yes, under that same item, summer school hires, Ms. Samaniego.
Yes, and this is just for food service classified. And our couple IAs for the summer program as well.
Okay, any, you've got, you said classified or certified?
Yes, classified. Item C, we're on item C, right? Mm-hmm. Yes, classified.
Item B.
No, item
C.
B is all the certified that you just approved.
Oh, did
And
we do
then-
them all? Did we do Fox and all the ones under?
Yes, because
Oh,
they're
okay,
all,
okay, I'm sorry. All right.
And
C.
now all of classified hires for summer.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to
I
approve.
move to approve.
By Mr. Lindeman, second.
I second.
By Ms. Salchow. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Selcha,
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann,
Yes.
Dr. Gomez,
Yes.
Mr. Ramos,
Yes.
Mr. Berry.
Yes. Item, that included the Minerva Camacho.
Yes.
Okay. Item D, discussion action on the approval of classified resignations and retirement, Ms. Samaniego.
Okay. As presented, some of them are resignations, and we have those retirees, and like I said, it is with regret that we accept these, or that I present to you these retirements. Aurora of Isela Garcia, 28 years. Frank Ibarra, 44 years. Robert Monge, 9 years. And Mr. Ibarra, we congratulated him and honored him at the high school graduation ceremony because Friday was his last day. And I believe Frank started working in the district shortly after he graduated from high school. I believe he said within months.
Yes.
So I want to
Yes.
thank those employees.
Okay, good. And he was a very valuable employee, and
Yes.
he was a jack of all trades, so we're going to miss him. All right, entertain a motion to approve that
I move to approve the classified resignations.
by
and
Mr.
retirements.
Lindeman,
I second.
by Ms. Salchow. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Burring?
Yes. Item E, discussion action on the approval of classified transfers, and the only reason that's there for action is is there a difference in pay?
In pay, yes.
All right.
So as presented, and these are all classified transfers within the
Okay,
district.
entertain a motion to approve
Move to approve.
by Mr. Lindeman, second.
I second.
By Ms. Salchow. Any discussion on any of that presentation, board members? Roll call.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Burring?
Yes. Item F, discussion action on the approval of donations received for Douglas Unified School District Number 27. Ms. Samaniego.
As presented, we have a couple donations. The first one is a donation of a U.S. flag on behalf of the family of Mr. Walter Joe Williams. He was from the class of 1949-1950, and in memoriam to Douglas High School. He was actually one of the first African-American football players at Douglas High School, so they've donated that flag. And then $800 to the DHS Gay Alliance Club for scholarships for Chris Estrada, Blanca Estrada, Riera Fucara, and Miguel Hernandez. So that money is going strictly for the scholarships.
Okay, so the distinguishing factor for the donation, if the board accepts it, on Mr. Walter Joe Williams, I happen to remember him, is that it's significant that he was one of the, he may have been the first. First black athlete that played football. And there was another one, I don't know if Dr. Gomez would remember, named Arthur Lawrence.
Arthur Lawrence,
Do you remember that name? But they played, I think they played at the same time. Walter Joe was the quarterback, and very good, actually. So we accept those with pride, actually. He became a very distinguished gentleman in his own way later in life. So entertain a motion to approve that.
I move to approve.
By Mr. Lindeman, second.
Second.
By Ms. Salchow. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Burring?
Yes. Item G, discussion action on the approval of authorization to dispose of equipment. Ms. Samayo, you or Mr. Soto?
I'll start it, and if Mr. Soto needs to add anything. So this is a Bluebird bus that was traded in to purchase a new bus from Auto Safety House. And so according to our policy, we need to bring any items such as this for you to approve so we can dispose of them. So, Mr.
Yeah,
Soto.
if you remember, a couple of years ago, the state awarded a lot of districts with grants to purchase buses. And Douglas Unified School District was lucky enough to get 2 of them. But the only condition that we had to do is just to trade in one of the oldest buses we have. And they're going to get rid of it. We have nothing. We have no saying on it. They're going to just get rid of the engine, do something with it. So it's not an actual workable bus. So it's on their hands. And they need the board approval to dispose of that item. And in return, we got the new one already.
Okay, entertain a motion to approve first.
Okay.
Dr. Gomez, will you make that motion?
Yes.
Motion by Dr. Gomez, second.
Second.
By Mr. Lindeman. Dr. Gomez, go ahead.
So we're just getting one bus, not 2.
We got 2.
We got 2.
So, yeah, and we did the same thing with the previous bus that we had to trade in.
Okay.
So we traded in 2 of our oldest buses, and we got 2 new ones. We got, if I remember correctly, like $110,000 per bus.
Okay.
Any more discussion, board members? Roll call.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Burring?
Yes. Item H, discussion action on the approval of emergency procurement purchases related to COVID-19. Mr. Soto.
Again, like every month, we've been bringing purchases of this nature, which allow districts to avoid the quotes and the special purchasing contracts, which allow us to make these purchases a lot quicker. And as you can see, most of them are for PPE equipment for COVID. So, questions?
Okay, entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve.
By Mr. Lindeman, second.
I second.
By Ms. Salchow, discussion. Roll call.
Ms. Elcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
yes,
Mr. Burring?
Yes. Item I, discussion action on the approval for renewal of sole source providers for fiscal year 2021-22. Mr. Soto.
Again, like every year, we have to approve our sole source providers, and they've been the same for a few years. And as you can see, if you go through the list, there's no other companies that provide the same services that these companies do for us. So,
Did they specifically say that you had to include the AIA there?
yes, it was is recommended.
Oh, okay.
Again, even though
Okay.
we know there's no other AIA, but
Okay, entertain a motion to approve
I move to approve.
by Mr. Lindeman, second.
Second.
Ms. Salchow. Any discussion? Anything else you want to add to that, Mr. Soto?
no.
Roll call.
Ms. Elcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
yes,
Mr. Burring?
Yes, discussion action on the approval for renewal of multi-term contract for the fiscal year 2021-22. Mr. Soto.
Again, every year we have to bring this to continue with the agreements. Audit services with Heinfield and Meach, and the unleaded diesel fuel for our buses and fleet. This is, again, even though it was awarded for various years, like 3 years, some of them are 3 years, some of them are 5 years, but we have to bring them every year for approval from the board.
Entertain a motion to approve
I move to approve.
by Mr. Lindeman, second.
Second.
By Ms. Salchow. Would you, for the sake of the board, explain
Sure.
the difference between that auditing service, which is the performance audit, and the Auditor General, just quickly? In other words, what's the difference between the audit that they do and the Auditor General?
The Auditor General mostly is operations overall of the district. And yes, our auditing firm also check on those things. There's a questionnaire on the USFR, which is the Uniform System for Financial Records that we have to do every year. Based on that, the Auditor General sees all of those reports that are submitted to them every year from the district. And they look at different areas of where districts are lacking, for just to use a word. And then the Auditor General decides to focus on those items. If there's items that are being recurrent, let's say we have the same finding 2 or 3 years in a row. That's when they come back and say, okay, so this has been the third year. What are you doing to fix this item? But typically we haven't gotten those. The most recent Auditor General audit we had was 2 years ago in San Diego, if I remember correctly. And we just finished that, and we're still working on it. There's a couple items that we need to finish, but that's the difference. The auditors, they do an audit every single year, of course. The Auditor General doesn't have to be on a yearly basis. If I remember correctly, the last time we had an audit from the Auditor General was more than 10 years ago. Again, there's 200 and some school districts in the state, so they don't have time to do one every year, so it's random. And it depends on the severity of the items they see. But again, that's the big difference between those
we
two.
don't pay the Auditor General,
No, sir.
just so the board knows that, but we do pay these people.
Yes, sir. Yes, we do.
Okay, and the Auditor General oversees what
Correct.
our auditors do. Okay, just for the sake of understanding there, entertain a motion to approve.
I move-
Oh, we have a
We have it.
motion, right?
I just need roll call.
We have a roll, yeah, roll
I
call.
did have a question.
Yeah,
Mr.
go ahead, I'm sorry.
I think I'm remembering that there's a limit to, we can use the same auditor for so many years. Am I correct on that, or?
There was something a couple years ago that they tried to implement, but there was a big uproar from school districts, so that went away. So now we can, again, you always have to do the RFP, which is the request for proposals, and different other firms send us their proposals, and then we have a committee, and then we select. But there's no rule now that says you cannot use the same other firms in a row.
Okay.
So that went away.
Oh, thank you very much.
How many years have we had a relationship with Heinfeld and Meach?
Well, I've been here 9 years, and they've been with us for at least
So
9
they're
years.
the same group?
Yes.
Yeah, what Mr. Lennon was saying, the law used to require that you had to put it out for bid every 3 years. I
Which
think
we
it
do.
was.
It's either
Every
3 or
3
5.
years.
It's up to the district.
Yeah.
3 or 5 years.
Yeah, and then for what he said, it's interesting to know too, because board members also need to know this, is that if the performance audit by these people finds something and they think that it's something that the Auditor General needs to look into, because it could be criminal like they've found so many times in a lot of school districts recently
Yes.
as well. Then the Auditor General comes in. And that's
Embezzlement,
why
yeah.
when you see a recommendation or a finding by the Auditor General, like we have one right now, you
Correct.
want to rectify that, and I talked to you, you want to get that done as quickly as possible.
Correct.
Okay. All right. And I'm not implying there's anything criminal.
No, and we,
No, that's not.
based on, this is my first time on this rodeo, so we've had the first time that they visited, then there's a 6-month follow-up, then there's a 12-month follow-up, and so we have been meeting and working on the recommendations.
Right. Okay, we're okay now? Roll call?
Yes, I just need roll call.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes.
Ms.
Oh, sorry.
Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
yes,
Mr. Berry?
Yes. Item K, a discussion action on the approval of memorandum of understanding for school-based mental health program between Pinell Hispanic Council and Douglas Unified School District. Ms. Samaniego.
As presented, I was approached by Mr. Victor Ramos, who is one of the supervisors with Pinal County, and through their organization, they have some funding that they can utilize with DUSD. And so normally, any child that has any behavioral health services has to go with their parents and do the services outside. This, what we are proposing is to have an MOU with Pinal County, and this program would initially start with 2 of our schools, Douglas High School being one and Sarah Morley being the other school. And so this would allow the behavioral health trained specialist to be servicing some of our students that will be recommended. I mean, there's going to be a process of recommendation and a referral process that obviously the parents will be involved, the student will be involved, and the counselors will be involved. And TUSD has been working with Pinal for quite some time. And I got some references from them, and I think this is really good, especially because a lot of our focus will be on social and emotional learning, and the needs will be high as far as behavioral health services. So this is going to start, and if it works well, they're willing to increase to other schools, and there is no cost at all to, the families or the students or DUSD.
Just quickly, was it because of the Hispanic Council, was it because we have such a high concentration of Hispanic?
No, I don't think it's because of that. I think it's because they're saying that it's working with other school districts, and, what more, they're looking to do more for our community. And so this was a way to come to our schools and be able to provide those services.
Okay, entertain a motion to approve
I move to approve.
by Mr. Lindeman. Is there a second?
Second.
By Ms. Salchow.
I have a question, Mr. President.
Any discussion? Go
Yeah,
ahead.
Thank you. I imagine they're going to work with our existing counselors and.
Yes,
everything, so-
they are. We had a first round of a meeting. They're going to have some more training, and Mrs. Walker's going to oversee that kind of process because she kind of oversees all the counselors. So, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Roll call.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
Yes. Item L, discussion action on the approval of memorandum of agreement for practice learning placement between Western New Mexico University School of Education and Douglas Unified School District number
Okay.
27. Ms. Samaniego.
So this is just, it's strange that this university sent an MOU, and this is only to place a student teacher in our classrooms. We've approved, you guys have approved of student teachers many times, but for some reason, Western New Mexico has an MOU, and I'm very proud that this is one of my former employees at Ray Berrain Middle School. Luis is in a current IA. He's been working on his SPED degree, and has already passed all of his assessments for Arizona certification. And so he is currently an RBMS IA and looking to do student teaching there at RBMS. So I'm very proud of him.
Very good, very good. The attorney. looked
Yes,
that over.
reviewed it and is,
Entertain a motion to approve
Move to approve.
by Mr. Lindeman.
Second.
Second by Dr. Gomez. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Elcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
Yes. Item 4, request for future agenda items. Announcements.
okay, we have a special board meeting, and this is at the request of Business Office because of our budget. We're requesting it to be at 10 a.m. It's a special board meeting.
Okay.
We have Monday, July 5th, is all district offices are going to be closed. The next regular board meeting is July 6th at 5 p.m., and then we also have that public hearing at 5:30 p.m. that day.
Okay, good. Board members, any questions or comments regarding any of that?
No, but I got a comment. And this is because I really want the school to open, but I think we need, as a board, to kind of be a little bit in the lead. I don't think, because all of us have been vaccinated, I don't think that we need to wear masks at the board meeting. My suggestion.
We can, I think that would be part of our discussion.
Because if you want that like an agenda item, that could be for the June.
We could have that as part of the, we can't discuss it here, but if Dr. Gomez wants to have that discussed, I'm all for it. And when we do an update, when we do the special board meeting on the 25th, then put it on the agenda,
Okay.
and certainly we'll discuss it.
Okay?
Okay? So that'll be added to the agenda on the 25th. Anything else, board members?
And that's that's June 25th?
June 25th.
Okay.
You going to be out of town?
But I think I can do
Could call
it
in?
by phone.
Yeah, we can call you.
Sure.
What day is it?
Executive session under item number 6, the governing board may vote into executive session pursuant to ARS 38-431.03, subsection A, number 1, for the following personnel matter. A, superintendent performance pay set out by pursuant to ARS 15-341, subsection A, number 39. I'll entertain a motion to do that
I move to enter into executive session.
by Mr. Lindeman. Is there a second to go into executive
Second.
session? By Mr. Selchow. Roll call.
Ms. Elcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
Yes. So we'll take just a moment to have everybody exit. Board members, you want to take a little break? Go ahead.
Just stand up.
We'll take a 5-minute break. We're back in open meeting. We're on item 7, discussion action to approve the 5% payment for the superintendent's performance pay as stated on the contract 2 ARS 15-341 subsection A 39. Members of the board, I'll entertain a motion to award the superintendent whatever portion of the 5% that you feel that you want to include in the motion. Dr. Gomez?
Yes, I move that we give the superintendent, Ana Samaniego, $3,500 of the 5%.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bermain?
Yes. Entertain a motion to adjourn
Move to adjourn.
So moved.
by Mr. Lindemann. Is there a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.